morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Rochester Hills Fire and Emergency Services September 11th Remembrance Memorial. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge a few of our special attendees: Honorable State Senator Martin Knollenberg, Honorable State Representative Michael Weber, Rochester Hills Mayor Bryan Barnett, City Council Vice President Mark Tisdel, City Councilman Dale Hetrick, City Councilwoman Stephanie Morita, City Councilman Thomas Wiggins, Chief James Danning from the Auburn Hills Fire Department, Assistant Chief Bob Tyrell from the Rochester Fire Department, and Captain Mike Johnson from the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. Now I'd like to introduce Councilman Mark Tisdale, who's going to lead us in our pledge and national anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And I'd like to introduce Honorable State Senator Martin Knollenberg.
Good morning. It's a privilege for me to be here on this September 11th, 2015 day. This is my first year as your state senator, and it's an honor for me to be able to speak in front of you briefly. I take this job very seriously. And I remember 9/11. I remember like it was yesterday. And it was just a real moment for me, and probably for many of you as well. I'll never forget that day. Every time 9/11 rolls around on my clock, on my watch, on my phone, or September 11th rolls by, I remember that day. It's been very significant to me. I'll never forget that. And today we honor all those that died on that day. It was a horrible attack on our nation. And again, we pledge to never forget that. We must also remember to support the frontliners, the first responders, who make a difference each and every day in the community. It makes our community safe, and we thank them for that. A great many of you here fit into that category. Armed services, fire, EMS, police. You are the critical link in our nation's security preparedness. You are often the first to identify a potential threat. You are always there for us, and we stand with you. This community, this state, and this nation will never forget what happened at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, the United Flight 93, on that horrible day. We will not forget the first responders who went to help without thinking of their own safety. And I pledge as your state senator to never forget that day, and I support your efforts. And I thank you for protecting us. Thank you very much.
Now I'd like to introduce Honorable State Representative Michael Weber.
Good morning, everyone. Like the chief said, my name is Michael Weber, and I serve the greater Rochester area as our state representative. and I also have a tremendous honor to do that and to be here with you today. You know, my day yesterday started at the Capitol at about 11:15, 11:30. I was able to host Chief Canto and Lieutenant Cook from the fire department for a great ceremony that we had commemorating 9/11 on the House floor. And I guess for anybody that follows the House or follows the news, my day concluded about 4 hours ago on the House floor in terms of us voting, and drove back. Got home about 6:15, and so I'm a little bit tired, but it was important for me to be here for obviously many reasons. But you know, what I had to go through yesterday is absolutely nothing compared to what our first responders have to go through on a daily, weekly basis. And then also to commemorate 9/11, I was actually in Washington, D.C. on 9/11, so I remember it very vividly, the fear, the anger that was going through everybody's minds on that day. You know, a lot of people didn't, you know, there was a lot of information, false information that day that made it even more fearful if you think back on it. But I have a great respect for first responders during not only my 7 years on the city council, but now as your state representative. And I just want to thank them for their service. And again, happy to be a part of this ceremony.
Now I'd like to introduce Honorable Mayor Bryan K. Barnett.
Good morning. I want to start by thanking Chief Crowell, Chief Canto, Deputy Chief Crowell, and all the members of the Rochester Hills Fire Department for putting on this ceremony this morning. This is incredibly well done, and I appreciate each and everyone's attendance. Certainly a pleasure to see our friends from Auburn Hills and from the city of Rochester here as well. In so many instances, you go into dangerous situations and battles each and every day together, so it's an honor to have you here and host you here today as we participate in this remembrance ceremony. As we pause to reflect on that horrific Tuesday morning 14 years ago, we must all as a nation never forget the way that day changed us as a nation, but also as individuals, as was mentioned by both Senator Knollenberg and Representative Weber. Many of us went to bed on September 10th, quiet, unassuming, busy about our lives, and generally content, but not overly connected with our first responders, our nation's defenders, or any of those who protect our freedoms. We were awakened in more ways than one that morning as patriotism flooded our streets and our hearts. A newfound and much deserved appreciation for those who serve our country and our community as first responders was also awakened. As was the reminder that times have changed and that to enjoy what we have as Americans takes tremendous effort. Today we remember and honor those victims, and we continue to pray for the families of 9/11. We pray for those who lost their fathers, their mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters. We must never forget and will continue to hold the families of those victims of 9/11 in our hearts. Just a few months ago, I visited for the third time the memorial at Ground Zero, and continue to be awed at the impact that horrific event had on our country as a whole, and also pause to reflect on the impact it had on me as a husband, as a father, as a member of our community. As we gather today at our memorial here in Rochester Hills with wreckage from that particular building, let us also rededicate ourselves, rekindling that spirit and renewing that common purpose, and recommitting ourselves to the honorable, the true, the selfless, and the courageous, all represented by this cold steel behind me. The spirit of nearly 3,000 individuals lives on in this memorial, and through ceremonies like this, the one you've taken time to join us with today, and all across our nation. Let this memorial, our memorial, symbolize the lives and the spirit of those souls lost on 9/11, and more importantly, serve as a place where we will continue to honor our firefighters, our police officers, our EMS professionals, and the military personnel who serve our country so selflessly. May God bless each of them, may God bless each of you here today, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
I would now like to introduce Father Stanley Ulman from St. Mary of the Hills.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Loving and gracious God, we thank you for this day, for its blessings and its challenges. Our memory of this day 14 years ago recalls the horror and shock that enveloped our nation and changed our future. Heal and comfort those who continue to suffer the pains of loss, injury, and heartbreak sustained on that day. Lord, you've conquered all evil. Let your light shine in the midst of the darkness caused by hatred, anger, and division. May we all find your love in our hearts, and may your mercy transform our lives. Guide us to emulate the courage and self-sacrifice of those who sought to save or help others on that fateful day. Let us find in our common humanity the power of your grace to do good and to be one in faith, hope, and charity. Let your peace and joy reign. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
The signal 5555 has been used in the New York City firehouses since 1870. It signals a death, generally of a colleague, and tells firefighters to lower the flag to half staff. For computers, dispatchers communicate with firehouses using a series of rings and gave the location, a blaze, by a code assigned to the nearest intersection. A house watchman had to monitor the bells and decipher the message on paper. These days, a watchman monitors a computer screen which gives the codes for the intersection, the address, and the type of incident. The bells have been disabled, but a 5555 single is still used. To this day, the code still has a meaning. A dispatcher would say on the radio, "A signal 5555 has been transmitted, and it is with deep regret the department announces the death of a firefighter." Today, the Rochester Hills Fire Department will sound 5555 for all the members of the New York City Fire Department, the New York City Police Department, and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, who lost their lives 14 years ago today. Thank you. May be seated. Many times throughout my career, I've been asked, what exactly does a firefighter do when they're not fighting fire? It's a simple question, but exceedingly difficult. Certainly, it's a good profession, potential for excitement, self-satisfaction, most common attractions. Even the term firefighter does little to describe the job today. Firefighters are always there when you need them. Our job is to care about people all the time, not just during disasters. And so we are there. We will come when no one else will. People know this. When there's an emergency, they think of us. Everyone knows that when they pull an alarm box or dial 911, someone from emergency services is coming to help. That's our job. 14 years ago today, 2,996 individuals representing 90 countries lost their lives on September 11, 2001. Since that time, several others have lost their lives from the side effects of that day. This day is not only a great sadness for the country and the world, but holds a special place in the heart of emergency services personnel. As the sun set on September 11, 2001, 343 New York City firefighters, 23 New York City police officers, 37 Port Authority police officers, and 8 private EMS workers had paid supreme sacrifice while operating at Box 8087 Bastion Church Street, also known as the World Trade Center. At 7:59 a.m. on that morning, American Flight 11, with a crew of 11, 76 passengers, was hijacked and flown in the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46. The North Tower collapsed at 10:28 a.m. after burning for 102 minutes. United Flight 175 with a crew of 9 and 51 passengers. Hijackers flew the plane into the South Tower of the World Trade Center at 9:03 a.m. The South Tower collapsed at 9:59 after burning for 56 minutes. American Flight 77 with a crew of 6 and 53 passengers flew into the Pentagon at 9:37. And United Airlines Flight 93 with a crew of 7 and 33 passengers crashed into the ground near Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. after passengers attempted to subdue the hijackers. As firefighters, police officers, and emergency personnel responded to the event September 11, it was apparent prior to their arrival that numerous people were trapped and or dying, and the task in front of them was likely going to be the most difficult they ever encountered, and not once did they waver in their sense of duty. On September 11th, the New York City Fire Department responded with hundreds of members to the epicenter of the disaster at the World Trade Center. Brother and sister firefighters ascended the stairwell of towers, knowing that several floors above them a fire raged out of control and hundreds of occupants were trapped. Systems designed to help protect the building were inoperable, and members found themselves in the middle of a fight with the odds stacked against them, but continued to push on, knowing they may never return. The emergency service profession has been defined by honor and courage, a profession that requires someone different than the average citizen. The fire service finds people with the courage to do this job and then focusing the harnesses on the courage and the firefighting and rescue skills. The fire service is based on the concept of teamwork and serving with respect and honor, and these ideals are meant to instill a sense of pride each time you put on the uniform. The symbol of the American Fire Service is the Maltese Cross, and this symbol serves as a reminder of the brave men and women who wore it before you. The symbol owes you nothing, but if you dedicate yourself to it, it'll give you everything. The Maltese Cross is a symbol of protection and a badge of honor. The story is 100 years old. When a courageous band of crusaders known as the Knights of St. John fought the Saracens in possession of the Holy Land, they encountered a new weapon unknown to European warriors. It was simple, but horrific device of war. It brought excruciating pain and agonizing death upon the brave fighters for the cross. As the crusaders advanced on the walls of the city, they were struck by glass bombs containing naphtha. When they became saturated with highly flammable liquid, the Saracens would hurl flaming torches into their midst. Hundreds of knights were burned alive. Others risked their lives to save their brothers in arms from dying painful, fiery deaths. Thus, these men became the first firefighters and the first of a long line of courageous crusaders. The heroic efforts were recognized by fellow crusaders who awarded them each a badge of honor, a cross similar to the one that firefighters wear today. The Maltese Cross is a symbol of protection. It means that firefighters who wear this badge is willing to lay down their life for you, just as the crusaders sacrificed their lives for the fellow man so many years ago. This story could be changed to represent the events of September 11, 2001, when hundreds of firefighters risked and laid down their lives to save the trapped individuals of the World Trade Center. Chief Edward Croker of the New York City Fire Department wrote, "I have no ambition in one, and that is to become a fireman. This position, in the eyes of some, appeared to be a lowly one, but we know who work but we who know the work which fireman has to do believe his is a noble calling. Our proudest moment is saved lives. Under the impulse of such thoughts, the nobility of the occupation thrills us and stimulates us to deeds of daring, even of supreme sacrifice. He also wrote, firemen are going to get killed. When they join the fire department, they face that fact. When a man becomes a fireman, his greatest act of bravery has been accomplished. What he does after this is all in the line of work. They were not thinking of getting killed when they went where death lurked. They went there to put the fire out. They got killed. Firefighters do not regard themselves as heroes because they do what business required. On September 11, 2001, members of fire, police, and emergency service did what business required and paid supreme sacrifice. We as members of the emergency service profession should never forget our fallen brothers and sisters who have went above and beyond the call of duty and have demonstrated the utmost honor and respect for the symbol that so many have worn before them. I have a letter addressed to the Rochester Hills Fire Department from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey I'd like to share. For the past 14 years, the Port Authority in New York and New Jersey has remained committed to honoring the people who lost their lives on September 11th, including first responders who paid the ultimate sacrifice and those who continue to face challenges from that day. We are dedicated to preserving the memory of the men and women who faced the tragic events on September 11th with unparalleled bravery, ensuring that we never forget their selfless and heroism that who reside within the outside the New York City, New Jersey region do not either. Thanks to your help, we have been able to accomplish that. On behalf of the Port Authority of the City of New York and New Jersey, I would like to thank your commitment to honoring those first responders and all other lives that were lost on September 11th by accepting an artifact from the World Trade Center and creating a public display in your community. While the facts of that day have been well documented, many throughout the country are unaware of the health impacts still faced by thousands of responders and survivors who live not only in the region that we serve, but also the country. With the 14th anniversary of September 11th approaching, your organization will be having a memorial to honor these events in the coming days. Those events present an opportunity to raise awareness about the continued health impacts to responders and survivors. The information below conveys the scale of the health issues and comes from the Center of Disease Control. There are more than 71,000 responders and survivors receiving medical monitoring and or medical treatment for the September 11th injuries. In the past year, more than 3,600 responders and survivors enrolled in the World Trade Center health programs. September 11th responders and survivors enrolled in the program are in every state in 429 of the 435 congressional districts. Approximately 8,000 responders enrolled in the World Trade Center health programs reside outside the New York City metropolitan area. More than 33,000 responders and survivors have at least one injury or illness related to September 11th, and more than 22,000 have two or more. More than 3,700 responders and survivors have cancer related to the events of September 11th. We thought it was important that your organization know the scope and magnitude of the health issues faced by September 11th responders and survivors across our country. Sincerely, Patrick J. Foy, Executive Director, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Thank you.